disturbing picture of Batibo, a subdivision in the Momo in the northwest region of Cameroon, hit by the armed conflict for over 3 years now. You know, Batibo is the chief town of the Batibo subdivision. Batibo, usually a vibrant town, is now a complete shadow of its former self. We shall be taking you to disturbing images coming from Batibo, where inhabitants have fled structures, buildings abandoned in bushes and are now habited or are invaded by grass and reptiles. Meantime, our structure is destroyed by the mayor of the Buya Council. A huge structure destroyed, as the mayor and on the individuals of the Buya Council says it is poorly constructed, and such structures are responsible for the floods that have been hitting the southwest regional chieftain of Buya recently. Those are the top stories. Ladies and gentlemen, stay with us. We shall be talking the armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon with our guests that will be on Talking Point. On Equinoxe Television, we are live from Cameroon's economic capital city, Douala. We are 1 minute past 5 p.m. in Kumasi, Ghana. It is 1 minute past 5 in Bafoussam, chief town of the west region of Cameroon. Rather past 6 in Bafoussam, chief town of the west region of Cameroon. And thanks for choosing Equinoxe to listen to information. We begin with a disturbing story of the very bad state of the roads in Magba, a town in the Noon division of the west region of the Republic of Cameroon, to say that road users plying the Manda Magba stretch of the road in the west region of Cameroon they go through difficulties. They qualify at plying across this stretch of the road as a veritable nightmare. They are faced with constant breakdowns on their vehicles due to the very poor, very bad state of the road. The state of the road that has been there for several years, despite calls from local inhabitants for public officials in Cameroon to rehabilitate. Immaculate Fogwe tells us more in the following report.
The road linking Manda and Magba, localities in the Noon Division, West region of Cameroon, in an advanced state of dilapidation. The muddy and slippery nature of the road has practically affected circulation. Drivers, while plying on the stretch, get stuck in giant potholes. In order to remedy the situation, some youths in the area have mobilized themselves to help drivers pull out their stuck vehicles, while some of them use spades to scrape the mud in order to make it accessible. Others attach a rope to the vehicle to pull it out for a thokun.
The nature of the road is very horrible. We've had a series of cars that are not able to plow the road. We are struggling to assist to see how to help the cars move out of this place.
Due to insecurity, the population of Dunga Mantum in the northwest region of Cameroon are now obliged to use the stretch which links the region to other cities.
This is the road leading to Magba. It is the road that is serving many people coming from Dunga Mantum now, since the road passing through Bui division has been blocked by the Amber Boys. So the road has become a very, very important road for those coming from Dunga Mantum. All the cars coming from Dunga Mantum pass through this road, through Magba to Bafoussam.
Road users are urging authorities to include the construction of the stretch of road in the reconstruction program of the Northwest region.
As you got there in the report, the road saves inhabitants of the Dunga Mountain division of the northwest region, some parts of the Noon division of the west region. and some from the Adama region of Cameroon. Inhabitants of the Donga Mountain Division who can't make it to the Northwest Regional Chieftain Bamenda through the Ndob or Kumbu stretch of the road because of the heightened insecurity with the armed conflict are now forced to go through the West region, passing through the Magba bomb stretch of the road leading to Fumban, Chieftain of the Noon. And we stay in the conflict hit region to say that heavy duty vehicles from the restive Northwest region and from some other towns and cities of the West region of Cameroon have been banned from circulating over the Nkwi Bridge in the Magba in the West region. The report you just saw there, the bridge reportedly has collapsed as circulation has intensified on that stretch of the road. Equinoxe has details.
Only motorbikes, light vehicles, bicycles and pedestrians can move over this bridge, over this River Nkwi in the West region, linking Magba and Manda. This as the bridge that collapsed on the 15th of August 2020 witnesses partial re-establishment.
On a alors décidé de détruire le pont et de pouvoir faire ce que vous voyez là jusqu'au moment où on attend.
To transport farm produce to the markets in the central town, they are compelled to use a long route, thereby spending more on transport fare.
Pour arriver avec les marchandises, il faut contourner plus de 1000 km avant d'atteindre la ville.
To ensure the partially rehabilitated communal road lasts longer before a giant bridge is constructed with assistance of the regional delegation of public works, the mayor, member of parliament and other local administrators suspended circulation of heavy duty vehicles on this stretch of road.
Dans un premier temps, nous avons pris des mesures pour interdire la circulation des gros porteurs sur cette route.
Que les camions attendent, comme la réparation a été dite très difficile.
Collapse of this bridge was caused by a heavy duty truck from the northwest region to Magba.
Malheureusement, en baissant la garde, il s'est avéré que les ponts, comme nous l'avions prévu, n'étaient pas adaptés à ces genres de camions.
Deviations have also been created to allow for circulation and communication.
Créer la piste agricole qui part de Mambonko à Nyangoula en passant par Makopa le Petit. Et nous avons de l'autre côté créé la piste agricole qui part de Pola, qui passe par Mataché et qui aboutit à Mbako.
His Royal Majesty Honorable Simon Nenge stresses that if a good solid bridge is not quickly constructed, lives will continue perishing, since transporting people to hospital is now costly over long distances.
Parce que on ne pouvait pas atteindre la ville aussitôt quand la personne était malade. Donc on a eu trop de difficultés quand le pont là a eu des problèmes.
The Member of Parliament from Magba calls on collaboration of the population and local administrators for development of the community.
Equinoxe reporting, and now we take you to Buea in the southwest region as promised, where the mayor of the Buea Council has so far sent a warning note to those building on waterways, drainage patterns, and blocking roads within the Buea municipality. Barrister David Mafani Namange was speaking recently at the Bonduma neighborhood of Buea, where he went with a council police agents to demolish a structure said to have been constructed on the main road linking Bonduma to the rest of the town of Buea. Derek Jato tells us more from the southwest.
As Buea, the southwest regional capital, gradually regained its normal state, the Buea Council is noticing increasing urban disorder.
Any person, no matter your class, it's just a matter of doing what is right. That's what we're saying, and that's what we're doing.
Here in Bonduma, a neighborhood in Buea subdivision, a structure is erected on the road, and Barrister David Mafani Namange, the mayor of the Buea Council, is out to put a stop to that.
The technical team of the council came here months ago and stopped the owner even before he added this portion which is being demolished. They went ahead and plastered the notification on the wall. When we saw that, we wrote to him, notified him in writing. He eventually added instead the staircase into the road, and we served him a demolition notice more than a month ago through a bailiff. Instead, he continued with the construction, and we even came to them and met them going on.
Another structure has been identified elsewhere, still in Buea subdivision, and the mayor of Buea Council is sending words to the owner.
In the days ahead, you'll be with me somewhere around Moliko, a nice story building in the road, white tiles. We are going to serve the owner a demolition notice. We have on it, it is written demolish. He has it. Thereafter, if he doesn't, we'll be sitting with a caterpillar.
On a general note, Mayor David Mafani Namange is begging on the law-abiding people of Buea subdivision to respect the building code.
And in other areas, others should help us not to do this. It doesn't please us when we do it, but at times pleasure should go behind, and what is good for the commoners and the society should take precedence.
Of recent, Buea has been witnessing unprecedented flood whenever it rains, with environmental experts pointing out that the constructions on waterways and drainage patterns is to a greater extent responsible for this environmental hazard.
From Buea in the southwest region, we take you to the northwest region of Cameroon, to the Momo division, to Batibo, chief town of the Batibo subdivision of the Momo. Batibo is now a shadow of its former self. Inhabitants have fled Batibo, and buildings in Batibo town have been invaded by grass and reptiles. The central town of Batibo appearing as a complete ghost town on normal days. And of course, the images were taken on weekdays on Wednesday. That is the image of Batibo reduced to nothing by an armed conflict that has been hitting the two Anglophone regions of Cameroon, the northwest and the southwest region, for over 3 years now. Should be recorded that Batibo is in the Momo division, and of course a place situated some 100 miles from the that is some 27 miles from the northwest regional chief town Bamenda, and some 100 miles east of Nigeria. Batibo is also located on the Bamenda-Manfe stretch of the road that links Cameroon through to the Federal Republic of Nigeria through Equinoxe, and of course a once vibrant town qualified by many as the economic heartbeat of the Momo division is now reduced to nothing. Images there are those taken from the central town of Batibo, closer to the structures hosting private and public institutional establishments are now invaded by grass. And of course the images you see there are moves towards the Batibo Council Hall, or the municipal hall of Batibo. As you can see, the municipal building standing right there in the bush, and of course nobody around. Inhabitants have fled Batibo because of repeated confrontations between the defense and security forces of Cameroon and armed separatists. The images of Batibo are similar in several other localities of the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. People have fled to different localities, and some are living as refugees in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, while thousands of others have fled to other regions of Cameroon. Figures presented so far say over 600,000 persons are living as internally displaced persons in other parts of Cameroon, and some over 50,000 have been forced out of Cameroon and are now seeking refuge in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. They have fled other towns and villages. One of them is Batibo. We shall be coming back to that in subsequent editions of News on Equinoxe Television. Meantime, circulation along the Mutengene-Buea stretch of the road linking Douala and Limbe, or the southwest region of Cameroon, was obstructed in the late hours of Thursday. That was this week. The day before, that is yesterday. That was yesterday, Thursday, the of September 2020, a private vehicle, according to report, left Douala for Buea when it went into flames a few meters to Dibanda. Dibanda is mile 14 in Buea subdivision of the Fako in the southwest region of Cameroon. According to reports from Dibanda in Buea, the occupant was a Cameroonian who just came into the country, who returned to Cameroon from abroad, and of course was heading to the southwest region to meet the parents when the vehicle went into flames at mile 14 Buea, commonly, or Dibanda Buea, commonly referred to as mile 14. He was, however, saved by the local inhabitants, but everything contained in the vehicle was reduced to nothing, as you can see in the image there. And we'll stay in the southwest region of Cameroon, taking you from the Fako to the Meme divisional chief town of Kumba to talk about health-related issues, or the launch of the campaign against COVID-19 in Kumba of the southwest region, to say that health experts in Kumba, in the Kumba Health District, say they are set to kick out the coronavirus campaign, or Corona, to kick out COVID-19 from Buea during the campaign. The health expert made the declaration during the launch of the coronavirus sensitization campaign in Kumba this day. Kumba, according to statistics, has been hardest hit, or is the hardest hit area in the southwest region of Cameroon with regards to COVID-19, with the highest number of COVID-19 victims in Kumba. Dr. Emmanuel Lenia Lifanda is the district medical officer of the Kumba Health District, who spoke to our correspondent in Kumba. Take a listen to him in the following extract.
Playing or joking with education. You can see the results they had last time. This 2019-2020 school year. They are first in the whole of the way. So, deem it necessary that with the effort from the Minister of Better Education, minimum packet, I had to at least go down with it to buy the anti-materials to all the schools, 9 schools, and there's 4 nursery schools in my subdivision.
Well, we have just carried out advocacy meeting for the launching of COVID-19 activities in the Kumba Health District. That shows that the community has accepted the activity that we are carrying out against the pandemic. That also shows that they are in support of what our President, Obia, and our Minister of Public Health are doing to mitigate and prevent the effects of the coronavirus infections. We have just launched the activity proper, and now the activities we are going to carry out in the communities are going to be very, very intensive. It is going to be a campaign. It is going to be testing, case management, sensitization of everybody in the communities. We are going to use all the methods we can use. Door-to-door methods, sensitization in all the hospitals, sensitization in all the markets, parks. In fact, everywhere where we find our people, we are going to see them. In fact, since we are in a war zone, since we are in this crisis, we are then going to go into the bushes, to the bush houses, to the villages, the little villages in the bushes, and talk to our people. We have more than 100 community health workers who have been trained, sensitized, and empowered with logistics to go to the communities in the bushes to talk to the people concerned. So we know that the job will be well done and everything will go properly as planned.
Despite the risks involved in cohabitation or unlegalized marriages, several Cameroonians still practice on legalized marriages, commonly referred to as Kamwesti. The statistics were reviewed in Nkambe in the Donga Mountain Division of the Northwest region of Kam recently by right defenders and defenders of the rights of women who joined the council to facilitate the marriage commemoration of some 19 families. More in the following report.
Defenders and gender activists say the non-legalization of marriages is a danger.
Have like a house, maybe they will come and send your children out, your wife out, and then that their in-laws, then they receive it. There are challenges because of the marriage certificates. Some who are working like officers or so, they need them to at least do their documents, even to have these children allowances and so on. And with the marriage certificate in the home, it's also very important. There are things that a woman or a man, at times they need the marriage certificate before they have them.
Despite the danger, several couples still live in unlegalized unions across Cameroon, with many advancing financial difficulties for their inability to legalize their marriages. To fight this danger and empower families, the Nkambe Council, in collaboration with the Donga Mountain Divisional Delegation of Women's Empowerment and the Family, conducted a mass marriage ceremony for some 19 couples, as stated by Mrs. Hajara Danjuma, first deputy mayor for the Nkambe Council.
For some 19 couples in Nkambe, the mayor decided to offer this opportunity for couples to legalize their stay together. It is one of the mayor's objectives to stabilize the population, to make sure people live in peace, in harmony, and in unity. And this is one of the ways to do it, because if a couple is living together, one of the couples happens to die, any family member can just come in and start fighting for property and all the like. So with this document, this marriage certificate, it helps the family, if they are living, to have a family, to gain family allowance. Inheritance is clearly defined. After the death of one of the couples, nobody can just come in and seize property. It is clear who has to inherit who. It is also the basis for church marriages. The church can only bless and legalize.
A vision well embraced by the Donga Mountain Divisional Delegates of Women's Empowerment and the Family, Mubele Chantal Neng.
It's very important because we are helping the communities to fight against cohabitation, that is Kamwesti. Yes, so many of the couples now some have been cohabitating for 30 years, some 25 years, but today it has been made possible that they legalize their marriages and the state will be recognizing their marriage. I think that's the importance of mass marriage.
The Nkambe Council hopes that the beneficiaries will take the message on the necessity to legalize marriages to the interior parts of the subdivision. The divisional delegate for Women's Empowerment and the Family says her delegation intends to extend the initiative to other subdivisions of the Donga Mountain Division.
After militating for over 30 years within the Cameroon Democratic Union opposition political party in Cameroon, Sam Mbaka parted ways with his political party, the CDU, in a press conference in the nation's economic capital city yesterday. Douala, he announced and made reasons why he is no longer interested in being a politician within the CDU. Innocent as was part of that press conference and compiled the following report.
Cyril Sambaka quits the Cameroon Democratic Union (CDU) of late Dr. Adamu Ndamjoya after serving it for 30 years. He announced his resignation Thursday, September 10, 2020 in Douala during a press conference.
Je vous annonce solennellement mon départ de l'Union démocratique du Cameroun.
Backbiting and plots to overthrow him as potential successor of late Adamu Ndamjoya instigated his decision. Also the fact that the party lost a great nation builder and a rich mind.
Et je le fais en toute connaissance de cause.
Emergence of hatred through the principle and culture of illegality, as well as illegitimacy in the existence and activities of the party, contrary to the fundamental and ethical principles of the party, contributed to its departure.
Contrariant fondamentalement les principes éthiques constituant le socle inaltérable du parti.
All of this in recent days compelled him to resign as first vice president of the UDC party, with respect to memo of the party's founder.
M'oblige, par principe de respect de la mémoire du fondateur de l'UDC, le docteur Adamou Damkeya.
His resignation is to enhance legality and stability of the UDC party, respect for the founder's wife, now president-elect of the Cameroon Democratic Union, and also to enable frustrated militants to return and gain their positions.
L'inondation du parti pendant ces derniers temps, des concepts tels que coordination nationale des activités de l'UDC, présidente élue, et enfin présidente nationale léguée.
In the meantime, Cyril Sambaka and others who joined him to walk out of the UDC in frustration have not clearly stated their next train.
Je ne suis pas prêt pour une expérimentation hasardeuse. Je reste donc fidèle à mes convictions et digne de mon héritage.
The outgoing UDC first vice president says they are in consultation with other comrades, political parties and some civil society organizations to mutualize forces and to, at the end, form an umbrella that will have a national and international vocation, where values of dialogue, democracy, of the republic, patriotism, legality and legitimacy, as well as ethics, will prevail in political life.
Coming up with talking points, stay with us. We are glad to join you on Talking Points. We are receiving a political analyst and a clergy. We are receiving Apostle Ambe Valentine. Thanks for accepting our invitation.
Good evening, Armstrong. Good evening, viewers of Equinoxe Television. Good evening, Cameroonians. Always an opportunity to be here to dissect very vital information and be able to educate our audience. God bless you.
We start with the last report, the very last report, the resignation of Cyril Sambaka, a militant. He's been vice president of the CDU political party and acting as a militant of that party for over 30 years. He's not the only one. We had, just before he announced his resignation, we had that of Romeo Dika from the CPDM political party. These waves of resignation, we are not sure, we can't say cross-carpeting already because they've not announced their next destination. What's been prepared in Cameroon? What explains all that?
The challenge we have in the African politics as a whole is that we have a kind of monarchical system of government tagged democracy, which is an abuse to the actual sense of democracy. For instance, Adamo Jamjoya died, it's the wife that took over, which is not normal for Sam Baka, who has served the party for 30 years and the first vice president. A vice president is not supposed to look for votes to go into power. It's succession. That's a different class of democracy. Once you have a vice president, there is an automatic takeover once the president is not in place. But that particular clause was abused in the party when the dead president's wife took over. You go to Banjul, Fosso Victor died. It's the daughter that took over the mairie or the council, which is another abuse of democracy. Let's go out of Cameroon. Now, right now in Malabo, or Guinea Equatorial, it is Obiangema's son that are preparing to take over power. So we don't have democracy. We have a kind of monarchy. We have chiefdoms and fondoms with the appellation of democracy. And we have the case of Gabon. Omar Bongo died. And in Togo, Iyadema Nasingbe died. It's a son, Furi Nasingbe, that took over. So it's a kind of
and the DRC,
yes,
Kabila
died and the son took over. So if you look at it critically, we do not actually have a democracy in Africa, but we have an appellation of the word democracy to our system of government which we have created. And if you go to the articles of the Cameroonian Constitution, we do not have a democracy. We have a presidential system. Democracy is when power is given to the people, not when power is given to an individual that calls the shots of a nation. That's the reason when an individual speaks, we are being ruled by decrees, not by laws. The parliament itself has no potency. The Senate has no voice. They just succumb to the decrees that is submitted by the head of state. And that is exactly what is spreading almost everywhere. So Sambaga has seen that rigmarole in the political party system of Cameroon, and is trying to draw back from it. And I think it's reasonable. It's reasonable.
Yes. Now you moved out of Cameroon to cite some cases within Africa, and we had more than 3 cases within the Central African sub-region, and of course neighbors to Cameroon. And now we are looking at such cases in Cameroon in councils, what they call communes.
Yes.
And one say from a political analyst view that it might happen at the highest level in the nation.
Of course, it's that bad, because if you look at it critically, we sometimes don't seem to understand that things happen in the continent Africa, or in the context of former French colonies in Africa. There is a particular routine of things that keep going everywhere. We sometimes abuse or blame the powers that be at the helm of authority, while the same thing is happening from the bottom, because what affects the head affects the tail. So the thing has spread to the extent whereby even councils are being affected. Political parties are being affected. In such a political party, how do you expect that such a person can become a president and don't cling to power? How do you expect that there will be democracy, where at the level of the party, democracy is being abused, and then at the national level it's going to be equally abused? One time I said that if Frundi is a true Democrat, then he should go out of the chairmanship of the flag bearer of the SDF party and give somebody else to take over. When he did that, I saw a certain level of democracy in John Frundi. That's the reason why I appreciate him for that. But the other political parties, people cling to power for years. They stay there and don't want to go, and then they want to go and govern a nation.
The CDU, for example, Adamu Damjoya, has repeatedly been the presidential candidate of the party.
Yes.
For years.
And then only for him to die. Sam Siri Baka, who has served the party for 30 consecutive years, he knows the in and out of the party. Suddenly the wife of the late president emerges as the party head. How do you explain that democracy at the party level will not be taken to the national level? So the sickness that affects the head started with the tail.
Unfortunately, an opposition political party asking Cameroonians to vote it to government, portraying this kind of image is not actually very good.
No, it's not. It's a very bad sign. That's why I said you cannot be a lizard in Cameroon and become a crocodile in America. It's obvious. It's obvious that somebody who is not able to manage a family or manage a community, because leadership is when you are able to manage a microcosm that can be given the opportunity to manage a macrocosm. A man that cannot be able to manage a council should be given the opportunity to manage a region. And he that cannot manage a region should not be given the chance to manage a nation. So the thing is, leadership starts from a micro level, then you take it to a macro level. The principles of leadership are fundamental and they're universal. If you apply keys in TICO subdivision and they work, if you place those same keys at the national level, they'll produce the same result. So we should stop electing people who speak good grammar. They will elect those who have produced results in different spheres of life.
Interesting. We will proceed. I want to talk about the recent call from senators of the United States. 13 senators, that's the number, the bipartisan delegation.
Yes.
What's the difference with this call, and do you see it crossing or going further than where the other calls ended?
I like the word bipartisan. It's no longer some political party or some sector of the Senate that is interested. The entire Senate, it means they have come to a consensus. One of the things we must understand about diplomacy is this: diplomacy may be slow, but it is very, very sure. Diplomacy is slow, but it's very, very sure. They started by condemning. And when they condemn, they shift to recommendations. From recommendations, they will go to sanctions. That's the rule of the game. So if they have entered into the realm of recommendations, bipartisan Senate sit down and wrote, I think, a 21 point to give both the separatists and the head of state or the government of Cameroon to look into the matter and solve the crisis on ground, is only a sign that they have given them sufficient time and they've not been able to handle the crisis. When a man and a wife are unable to settle a score within a marriage, it calls for a third party. If at all ample space is given to the Cameroon government to handle this case and they do not, then they will call for a third party. Before we continue, Armstrong, there is a clause in the U.S. Constitution, section 7031, that says the United Nations Secretary of State has the capacity to give travel ban to authorities from coming to the country. If you look at it critically, United States have given ban to some authorities in this country, which is a sign that some things are creeping. On the 31st of October 2019, Donald Trump kicked Cameroon out of AGOA. They withdrew some certain level of military aid and formation in Cameroon. That's how diplomacy comes. It comes gradually, but it is very, very sure. Recently, a rebel who conducted genocide in 1994 in Rwanda was arrested. That's almost about 20 years ago. And a case of a rebel who conducted acts of terrorism in Congo Democratic was equally arrested 2 months ago. Why am I bringing all these things? Is to make us understand that the diplomatic level does not operate with sensations and sentiment. They gather facts, they gather realities, they go through one stage to another. The only bad thing with their procedure is that it allows time to cause a lot of destruction. So we are in a haste, like the Englishman says, a stitch in time saves nine. So this call right now from the Senate is ringing a bell. And sometimes when you start seeing a red light, it's a signal that danger is getting closer. They are only stressing the more on the Cameroon government, because if you look at the clauses, emphasis is laid on the government to handle this, to handle this, to handle this, to handle this. Why? They must have gone through Cameroon's constitution and understand that power is in the hand of an individual that manages it and wields it the way he wants it. So I think the power to stop the crisis still is in the hand of the government. One of the things I want to also say is that our military are supposed to be trained to defend the constitution and to defend the state, not an individual. When you defend an individual, you abuse the constitution. And we're supposed to go back and rephrase and readjust our curriculums in military academy. Because why? When people violate constitution, the gun should be pointed at them, not to the masses defending and fighting the constitution.
They also raise the points and the fact that the current crisis has affected the security and economic ties between Cameroon and the United States.
Of course. You know, the Senate has a foreign office that is in charge of external relations. And when they look at it critically, a lot of things have been damaged. The relationship between Cameroon and America started far back since 1957, when John F. Kennedy was still a senator, and it was concretized in 1960. So they have been in a long-staying relationship. And they understand, and once a nation is affected in this capacity, it doesn't only affect the individuals of the country, it affects bilateral trade, it affects the economy, it affects the security, as well as the cultural ties between nations. So if you see the Senate of America jumping into this matter, they are in one way or another being pinched, they are being touched. So I think the government should see this as a red light, calling their attention to be able to handle this thing before it goes wild.
And it's worthy to note that it's been led by a senator, a Republican senator.
Yes.
And the Republicans are the ones in power in the United States of America. But you already outlined the importance of bipartisan. It's not an issue of the Democrats.
No.
It's no longer an issue.
It's
of
an American issue.
And now I want us to look at the possibility of the government at least listening keenly and accepting to do all, if not some of these things are recommended by the government, because we've had the tendency of government officials coming after such calls to say that no, Cameroon is an independent state that does not need foreign intervention, some sort of foreign interference. Is this kind of call sorts of foreign interference that should not move the government?
We cannot argue the fact that Cameroon is a sovereign state, and every nation that is sovereign has a certain level of authority. But like I said earlier, when opportunity is given to you to manage crisis in your house and you're unable to manage a crisis and it begins to spread and affect even individuals around that environment, the community will come into that matter. The intention of the United States Senate is not to fight the government, neither is it to press the government, but it's calling the government's attention to understand that this thing is taking longer than expected. And if you look at it critically, we have had a lot of crises of this nature. Do you know in 2016, a similar crisis broke out in Senegal? They were supposed to lose a complete school year. The president, Macky Sall, did everything possible. The prime minister could not. Khalifa Sall, who is a mayor of Dakar, did everything possible to handle the crisis. There was no way out. Do you know who solved the crisis? It was the president's wife, Mariam Sall, called a private meeting away from the protocols of the presidency and the state, and they were able to strike a deal to save a whole year. What am I trying to communicate? I'm trying to understand that in most cases when crises break out in a nation, it is the government that has the final say.
The final say. Thanks very much, Apostle Ambe Valentine, a political analyst and that is a religious leader in Cameroon. Of course, we thank you very much for accepting our invitation. Thank you for a very interesting analysis of this call from the U.S.
It's a privilege, Armstrong. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we also thank you for your very kind attention. Stay with Equinoxe Television.